Hello once again, everyone. I'm back with another video, and this time it's more of a rant, really. But when you're talking about this type of thing, it's hard not to do a rant. So, let's just get into it. This dude, I think he was like a 22-year-old Idaho guy, murderer, he well, there was a bunch of shit. He used like Google Maps to find this house. Why it was this house? Did he know them? I don't know. Maybe when we read it, we'll get into it. Went to this house, stole stuff, beat 3 people in the house, and then killed them. Shot them in the head. Now, right off the bat, you're thinking, this is a weird story to talk about. And it gets weirder. And it's not the first time we've heard something like this. The dude was caught, and he said that he plays violent video games. And that made it easier to kill people. Now you know exactly what that's going to do. The media, let's be brutally honest, the media for the most part loves to stretch the truth, to literally plaster all negatives and hardly ever any positives. Whether it's a horrific story and it has a happy ending, they almost always leave out the happy ending, or they'll wrap it up really quickly, being like, oh, it was happy ever after, blah, blah, blah. And they'll drag out for an hour talking about all the bad things. This will be no exception, make no mistake. Media will talk about this. Media will once again spin the old wheel. Playing violent video games makes you a serial killer. Blah, 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 blah. It's like putting the fucking CD on repeat. That's all they're doing there. Don't get me wrong, the story's awful. It is, don't get me wrong. But let's get into this. An Idaho man, 22-year-old Adam Dees, convicted of murdering 3 people, told authorities this week that his addiction to violent first-person shooter video games made the crime easier to commit. First of all, let's stop right there. His addiction. Key word, addiction. No one with an addiction should be ever taken completely seriously. Now, granted, an addiction to video games, if you had to choose to be addicted to something, is not a bad choice. Maybe addicted to Mario would be better than being addicted to fucking shooting games. I'm just saying. But anyway, from the Ada County Sheriff's Department blog, when asked specifically about the murders, Dees said it wasn't that difficult for him to do because he had done so much killing in video games. Really? Really? You really think that a video game made it easier? Now, let's not lie here. You know, if you play a lot of violent video games, especially like if they're like really gore fest ones, you will desensitize yourself. That's no problem. That's not, debatable. That's true. You will be desensitized. However, that doesn't change the fact that you were unstable to begin with, before you even touched these games. A crazy person is crazy regardless of playing a video game, reading a book, watching a movie, watching a TV show. You don't see, it's like if there was a serial killer and the cops went to his house and they see a bunch of Walking Dead posters on the wall. Oh, he liked gore. He liked watching, brutal, violent TV shows. No wonder he's a murderer. You don't ever hear that. No, you never hear that. But people are going to blame games. Because that's what the media does best. Waste everyone's fucking time. He was crazy. He still is crazy. He's not dead, so he still is crazy. And so he says it makes it easier because he killed people in video games. And you didn't kill people in video games. You pushed a button and made a character representation fall down. You made pixels move. Bravo. I applaud you. Bravo. That's all you did. If you thought that, oh, I killed, 3 people in GTA, I can kill someone in real life. Did you stop and think, wait, why am I thinking of doing this? No, you didn't. Now maybe he planned to kill someone and he's like, hey, I can use video games to Desensitize myself. Newsflash, whether you played these to desensitize yourself or not doesn't change the fact that you would have tried to kill someone. Regardless. The only difference was if you didn't desensitize yourself, you would have killed someone and then you would have been in horror at what you'd done, if there was an ounce of humanity even left in you. But since you desensitized yourself, then when you did the crime, then you were like, oh, it's no big deal. And then you could say, I desensitized myself, I played violent video games. And I'm not taking a bash at violent video games because while I personally hate them and don't play very many of them, because they're boring, generic, and repetitive, you can't say it's the game's fucking fault. You just can't. Now, again, he's crazy. So while there's no proof or anything, and there probably never will be, that, playing a violent video game turns people crazy, there's another keyword there. Crazy. And there's a picture of the guy I'll show you there. The keyword being crazy. You see, to people like us, you'd be like, killing someone in a game, killing someone in real life. Nope, there's no connection there. It doesn't make sense. But to a crazy person, then you can't understand them, because to them, crazy shit does make sense in some weird upside down backwards turnaround fucking way. That is something that they could say, oh, it made sense to me, but to us we'd be like, it doesn't make sense, because people who have common sense and working brain cells and aren't missing a few fucking bolts from their goddamn head and who have all their marbles would be able to tell you that this was not a result of video games. He could have read a fucking comic and said, oh, well, this guy in the comic died, so I thought I could do it. The problem here is not the game. No. The problem here is this guy's mind, his mental capacity, his mindset, his actual sanity is in question, or lack of it. That is what we need to target. But not the company. I don't know why I was going to say the company. The media, the world needs to target the mentally insane, the mentally unhinged, deranged people, the mental illness. Not a fucking hobby. I mean, seriously. It's like if you say some crazy hillbilly guy hits a deer with his truck down the road, and then he doesn't even bat an eye. People are going to be like, he's fucking crazy. And he'll be like, I've hit a deer 100 times, man. It's not a big deal. Then you're going to blame, I don't know, the fact that he's accidentally hit a deer before or something. I don't know. I don't even know if that point makes sense. But my point is people love, actually it's not just people, humans love placing the blame game. The pointing of the finger, the generic, I didn't do anything wrong, this did it, this made me do it. And how people are always like, guns don't kill people, people kill people. That tired argument. So, again, it's not the game's fault, because whether this guy wants to do it or the media, it's always going to be, well, let's point our finger over here and try and get everyone on board the hate train and see if we can do something about it. If you were to go up to Miyamoto, now he doesn't make violent video games unless you had some kid who was like, oh, I tried to jump on a turtle because I did that in Mario. I mean, I'd be like, are you stupid? But for the most part, if you went up to someone like Miyamoto and you were like, violent video games make people crazy, you know what he'd do? Turn around and just walk off and go enjoy his game. He wouldn't even give you the satisfaction of talking to him. He would shake his head, turn around, and just fucking walk away. Is there anything more to read here? I guess so. As part of a plea agreement, D was required to provide more details to investigators about the March murders of 80-year-old Ted Welp, 77-year-old Elaine Welp, and their son, 52-year-old Thomas Welp. Those are some pretty old victims. There was no mention of the specific games that D was reportedly addicted to, which, if he says violent, you think of violent video games. You think GTA, you think COD, you think Battlefield, stuff like that. He also told detectives that he was depressed and suicidal when he carried out the murders. Well, hold the phone right there. Red flag, double red flag, waving your arms back and forth in the air. Depressed and suicidal. And you know the media is going to forget about that. Be like, oh, yeah, whatever, whatever. Did he say something about video games being bad? And they're going to leech onto that. You're going to listen to a fucking depressed, suicidal, mentally unhinged buffoon. Because it gives you ammunition to fire at the gaming industry, to target it, to get views, to get that all-important green money. The human race is truly a despicable thing for the most part. There are some gems out there, no doubt. But in general, it's a fucking despicable human. Or no, it's a despicable species. Anyway, according to KTVB, which whatever that stands for, all 3 victims were found badly beaten and shot in the head. Dees is taking medication for bipolar disorder. Another red flag. Another fucking red flag. For bipolar disorder, also quotes, KVTB that is, a counselor at Riverside Behavioral Health, Jamie McManus, as saying that people with existing mental illness conditions may be more likely to be affected by entertainment such as video games. You know what? Anyone who's mentally mentally ill can be affected by anything because their sanity is in question. They don't have a firm grasp on it. Why do some people say, like, my dog was fucking talking to me, man? My dog was fucking telling me to kill those people, man. That tree over there was whispering to me, man. Because they're out of their goddamn mind. Yes, video games could, to a crazy person. He could be playing GTA and the guy on the fucking game, in his mind, is talking to him, telling him, hey, man, you having fun killing guys in this game? Go kill someone in real life. You can't understand crazy shit. You can't understand crazy people. You can't understand them. You can try to help them, but that's about it. You can't play the blame game. Video games, turning guys crazy. Yep, we gotta shut down video games, we gotta censor them, we gotta blah 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 blah. Make everything like frickin' Kim Kardashian's dress-up game or whatever the fuck it was. I mean, they would probably even blame fucking Sudoku as being, contributing. Oh, this guy couldn't be a level, he got mad, he went psycho, blah, 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 blah. So, I don't know. Whatever. If you're a relatively healthy and socially stable child, or if you are relatively healthy and a socially stable child, I don't know why they have to make it a child, but you may do just fine being exposed to video games, she said. If you already have some difficulties emotionally or social, you may really need some limits. Okay, first of all, again, don't know why it's specifying children when it could be adults, teens, whatever. And then as for the being exposed to video games, you're making it sound like it's radiation, man. People in society are already way overprotective. If you look back in before I was born, when, say, our grandparents were kids, it was a much safer, relaxed time. Go ahead, ask your grandparents. Back when they were a kid, no one locked their front door or their cars. People just, were like, hey, neighbor, how's it going, People were trusting. People weren't sure there was some crazy, murders even way back in the day with, what's-his-face, the Jack the Ripper guy and all that shit. But, point is, times have changed. Society has gotten a lot more restricted, locked down, and basically humans are, without maybe even realizing it, creating a goddamn prison around themselves. They've turned a planet into a fucking global prison. They just they aren't aware of it yet. But anyway, Dees will soon be moved to the Idaho Department of Correction, where he will. It's funny how you call it correction. This guy has fucking. Will serve 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. How is it correcting him if it's 3 life sentences? He will die there. There is no correcting that. It's not like the day before he dies. It's like, oh, he's corrected. We fixed him up. So I feel I should change the name of Department of Correction. It should be just literally call it just jail. It's as simple as that. Either way, I wanted to do a video talking about this because I know, like I said, the media is going to spin it, and you gotta have people out there. I know Alpha Mega Sin did a video on this, and I watched his, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do one too. So, much like Alpha Mega Sin, I wanted to do a video talking about this and saying, you know, cutting that, what's the word? Cutting the snake's head off, getting ahead of it, whatever you want to say, just beating the media to the punch to the point where there's people that are actually going to start off with the truth and fucking speaking logically and making sense and using, facts and examples before the media picks and chooses what parts of the story to say and share and spin in the complete opposite direction that the story even goes. So, as always, I'm Original Blood Ace. Stay tuned, more videos coming soon. We will see you then.